Hi everyone. Where's my hand? There. Hi everyone. Welcome to my presentation. My name is Shari. I am an accredited practicing dietitian from Melbourne. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons why it's so important to see a dietitian if you have celiac disease. Before I get started, I want to quickly say a big thank you to Living Free From and Allergy for having me present during Celiac Awareness Week. It's an honour to be speaking to help bring awareness to celiac disease and to also hopefully really positively impact someone's life who has celiac disease. So as a dietitian, I'm currently specialising in celiac disease. Now, what inspired me was my mother-in-law's celiac disease diagnosis in mid-2019. So it was her long and troublesome journey. So she had been suffering from her teens. She's now in her 60s. That really made me want to help others on the same journey. So let's get into it. So for this video, I've done my best to summarize the 5 key points of why it's so important to see a dietitian if you have celiac disease. So these 5 points are: dietitians help increase clients' knowledge and understanding of celiac disease and the gluten-free diet. We are able to provide personalised nutrition advice and support. We raise awareness of and assist in preventing celiac disease complications. We address other food intolerances and allergies. And we can correct misinformation and eliminate any confusion that clients may have when they come to us. So number 1, how do we increase clients' knowledge and understanding of celiac disease and the gluten-free diet? So really important topics that should be covered when someone has been diagnosed with celiac disease are listed here on this slide, and I'll quickly briefly touch on each one. So what is celiac disease? It's really important that we teach clients how the disease develops, how it impacts the gut and the foods we eat, what organ systems it can affect, what signs and symptoms there are that may not be evident to the client. So this is important if there's incidental and accidental ongoing gluten consumption. So what is gluten? So we'll break down exactly what gluten is, what foods it can be found in naturally, what foods it can be used in during manufacturing and processing, and the different names of gluten. So there's heaps of different names that gluten can be listed as. So we will teach clients exactly what words to look out for. We go through how to treat and prevent nutrient deficiencies. So we'll address any current deficiencies a client may have, and we'll also discuss how they can prevent further deficiencies from developing once their gluten-free diet commences. Label reading is probably one of the most important aspects on this slide. So we'll teach clients how to interpret labels to determine if they have gluten or not. We'll teach them how to look for hidden gluten. We'll teach them how to look for cross-contamination also. And we'll also teach them exceptions to labeling rules for gluten. So glucose syrup is an example I'll use. So glucose syrup is derived from wheat. So on a food label, it will say glucose syrup, next to it in brackets, wheat. Now this will send alarm bells to someone who has celiac disease. However, glucose is actually so refined from wheat that there is no detectable traces of gluten in it. So it's perfectly fine for those who have celiac disease to consume. We teach clients how to set up a gluten-free kitchen. So we'll get them to go through foods they already have. We'll put them into gluten-free pile and non-gluten-free pile. We'll give them some practical tips. So where to put gluten-free products and non-gluten-free products on shelves, about labeling, using containers, colours, everything to kind of separate the pantry for those, especially if they're living with others in the house who do not need to eat gluten-free. Conflict can arise also, so we'll give tips and ideas for how to troubleshoot that. And also importantly, what new equipment you need or don't need for your kitchen, we will go through with clients. So this takes us to eating a healthy and balanced gluten-free diet. So we need to make sure that clients are getting adequate nutrients, and that any nutrients that might be reduced, we provide an appropriate nutritious gluten-free substitute. So fiber is a very common nutrient that will be decreased when changing from a non-gluten-free diet to a gluten-free diet. So we'll make sure that you have all of the substitutes, ready to go so you can make those decisions. And we'll also aim to make meals as tasty and palatable as possible. So it can be quite hard going from a gluten-containing diet to a gluten-free diet. So we'll give you some recipes and all those kinds of things to help your transition through. Eating out is a big challenge for those who have been newly diagnosed with celiac disease. So we will teach you how to approach hospitality staff, what questions to ask them, to phone ahead or not, and also importantly, how to be prepared for those spontaneous days where you go out, you weren't planning on eating out, you haven't called up the restaurant. We'll give you ideas and tips of how to overcome those instances and occasions. And then traveling. So traveling overseas, it's important for those who have celiac disease to know that different countries have different definitions of gluten and different detectable amounts in their foods that are allowed. Okay, so Australia probably has one of the most strictest definitions of gluten in the world. So we're quite strict over here. So it's important, I guess, especially for our clients when they're traveling overseas, to know what to look for, what the definition is, so they can make those appropriate choices when they're away. So point number 2, we are able to provide personalised nutrition advice and support. So we're trained healthcare professionals and know that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to health. Because of this, during our consultations, we conduct really detailed nutrition assessments. So we ask a lot of questions, which can be very frustrating for clients, but we use these to gather medical and clinical history, dietary history, social history, and also the client's goals. So I'll give you some examples of each. So in terms of medical and clinical history, why it's important. If someone has comorbidities, so if someone's been diagnosed with celiac disease, but they also have diabetes, or they have high cholesterol or heart health issues, we are able to safely manage them and take into account all of the issues they have going on. So in terms of dietary preferences, we really dig deep and we find out what their diet type is. So are they vegetarian? Are they vegan? What foods do they like? What foods don't they like? This information allows us to tailor the nutrition plan to them and doesn't make it unpractical or unreasonable. We don't want to force any foods down someone's throat if they don't like it. So that brings us to social history. So in terms of social history, we'll look at someone's ability to cook. Can they shop for themselves? What's their financial status like? Are they on a budget? So what living circumstances do they have also? Are they living with others? Are there any challenges that they may be facing and ways that we can address these issues? By collecting all of that detailed data, it allows us to really work with a client and establish a practical and personalised nutrition plan that will easily fit in with their current lifestyle and still optimises their nutrition and their health. Point number 3, we can help to raise awareness of and assist in preventing long-term complications associated with celiac disease. So a lot of the clients I work with aren't aware when I first speak to them about the long-term complications associated with celiac disease. And these long-term complications can be quite serious, some of them. Some of them can, disappear somewhat once a gluten-free diet is introduced. However, there's still areas that need to be addressed. So dietitians can really help prevent these long-term complications by raising awareness of what the symptoms look like. We can encourage annual checkups. We can address nutrient deficiencies that lead to some of these complications. We address what kind of foods can be associated with some of these complications. And also by assessing if there's ongoing incidental gluten consumption, we can really try and stop and rule out any of these long-term complications from developing. So that's why seeing a dietitian can allow you to prevent and reduce the risk of some long-term complications associated with celiac disease. So point number 4, we can address other food intolerance and allergy issues. So a lot of those who have celiac disease will report ongoing gut issues. And this is where we can come in and assess or identify any other intolerances they actually may be experiencing. So for example, IBS and FODMAPs, or do they have chemical intolerances? We can help nut it out and see where the issue actually is. By doing this will improve ongoing symptoms being experienced. So also in terms of allergies, if a person has celiac disease and an allergy or allergies, we will be able to provide advice and suitable substitutes that will allow them to maintain an optimal nutrition status as well. So the 5th and final point, when it comes to health advice, especially around eating and diet, there, I believe, will be a long list of misconceptions and misinformation out there. So we are able to correct misconceptions and eliminate any confusion. I guess the internet and unfortunately even friends and family are massive sources of misinformation and misconceptions. Seeking out information from unqualified individuals can actually result in serious damage to your health. In addition to these misconceptions and misinformation, there's so many different views out there that it can actually become overwhelming for clients if they're doing their own celiac disease and gluten-free research. So I'll give you an example. A common misconception is a gluten-free diet is healthier than a gluten-containing diet. It is, however, actually the opposite. So this is due to the fact that a lot of popular gluten-free products and substitutes on the market are less nutritious than their gluten-containing equivalents. An example is fiber. I think I discussed this a little bit earlier, but fiber is taken out, can lead to constipation, and then also other nutrients, including B vitamins, calcium, zinc, and iodine, can also be taken out in a gluten-free diet. So we need to monitor this long term and try and prevent any of those deficiencies from happening. So by addressing misconceptions such as going gluten-free is healthier can really reduce the risk of developing those deficiencies. Additionally, other misconceptions can lead to individuals over-restricting their gluten-free diet, and this can also lead to more harm than good. So dietitians will assess every aspect of a client's diet and will make recommendations to optimize their nutrition status. So because we are university qualified healthcare professionals, we have to keep up to date with the latest research, training, and education. This way, we are able to provide clients with credible and evidence-based information and resources. So those are the 5 key points I came up with of why it's so important to see a dietitian when you've been diagnosed with celiac disease. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can also connect with me if you like. If you enjoyed my presentation, I am on Instagram at celiac.dietitian. I have my website, www.coeliacdietitian.com.au, and you can also contact me via email. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope to be able to connect with some of you. Thank you. Bye.